Today we are going to answer the question, how many biological children, offspring, can a sperm donor have? Now, in order to answer this question, I am putting out 3 different kinds of donors, because depending on what kind of donor you are, there's different limitations and different numbers you can reach. I want to make sure and want to make clear, I personally do not think it is about numbers maxing at all. In the Open Donor Association, we talk about the numbers maxers, and then we talk about the quality maxers, the family maxers, the fertility maxers, those that really try to leave an incredibly strong legacy behind, that want to do really well and really good for the future children, and those who just see it as a numbers chasing program and kind of have a reproductive addiction, reproductive urge, which eventually doesn't lead to a lot of positive things. Now, those things aside, the ethical things aside, I want to talk more about the different kind of numbers these people can reach nowadays. So first of all, I want to talk about the one who's numbers maxing, but he's doing it naturally, more or less. He's not working with a sperm bank or anything like that. He's just trying to have as many biological children as he can with women who are willing to reproduce with him. So this guy is focused on reproduction, the numbers maxer. He will go out and he will try to attract as many recipients as he can. Great famous examples of people doing numbers maxing are donors such as Kyle Gordy or Simon Watson. Their goal is to have as many biological mini-thems, mini versions as possible. This is what the babies look like, and then put them everywhere. So what I've seen from numbers maxers is that they will usually be able to do between 10 and 50 babies per year. Numbers maxers are usually free donors. If you run into a free donor who seems like a professional, healthy guy, and he tells you he only is going to donate 3 to 5 times, probably a numbers maxer that doesn't want to be honest about it too. A lot of numbers maxers are not 100% transparent. Some more, some less. Kyle Gordy and Simon Watson might not be the kind of, quality maxing donor that I want to be myself, but they're at least 100% transparent. Now, a lot of these donors are not 100% transparent, or it takes them some time to do so, because most recipients do not want to work with a numbers maxer per se. They are worried about who are the other half-siblings, but many also don't care. I mean, there's a lot of recipients out there who just say, hey, I really just want a baby. So let's say you start as a numbers maxer and you're 20 years old and you push it to the limit of 50 per year, which is really, really, really pushing it, right? Like normal would be something, let's work with 30 per year. Let's say you push it really hard, you go really far, you go into an area where demand is very, very high, you push it to 30 a year, and then you do that for 20 years. That could be something like 600. Someone like Simon Watson, he reportedly, but those are his own numbers, right? I haven't yet seen anyone prove those numbers. He reportedly has 1,200 or more. Again, I can't prove that number, but that is possible. That is realistic. If you are just trying to reproduce with as many as you can, you don't care about the quality of your recipients, you don't care about an income or your lifestyle, anything like that, you just want to numbers max. That's what you can go for. Now, does every numbers maxer get to that number? No. I know a lot of guys who are really incredibly focused on numbers maxing, but because they might not be very attractive, or because they might have other health issues, or maybe they're a bit older, they end up somewhere between 50, 100, 200, something like that. So it's really a range. I'm just trying to talk in this video about how much you can go and how much you can push it. Now, again, I do not think these are reasonable numbers. I do not think this is healthy. I do not think this is good. I think that the focus should be more on quality maxing, but I'll get to that at the end. Now, then we have another version, numbers maxing plus plus plus. Numbers maxing plus plus plus, for one, they try to reproduce with as many as they can. Sometimes in dating, sometimes they have baby mamas, right? Baby mamas in the sense of that was a natural insemination. Sometimes they have recipients, so they try to create a bunch of mini versions. And at the same time, they work with sperm banks. A lot of sperm banks do not allow donors who are numbers maxing, but it is impossible to prove and impossible to know. you will only find out later, once the kids are 15 to 25 years old and start doing the DNA testing, that you were involved with someone who did numbers maxing. So I know a lot of donors who do this and do that, who think it's a good strategy to do both because they really want to reproduce as much as they can. And doing this, you know, Jonathan Mayer is one example. He was able to get somewhere between 500 to, let's say, 600 children. You can really, depending on the sperm bank, do 25 a year with the sperm bank plus another 50 as an open donor. So you can really push it, maybe even you can maybe even push it all the way to 100 a year. So you might do 25 at one sperm bank, 50 as an open donor, and then another 25 at another sperm bank. This is possible, so I think you can push it to 100 a year. So if you do this for 20 years, you're looking again at something like in the thousands. You're looking at 2,000. I don't know any case where this has happened yet, but it's definitely possible. It's definitely, and I think something a lot of donors don't really care about or don't mind about too much, because they just see the risks that come with this and the problems that might arise for the donor-conceived children as collateral, right? Like, you know, there's good things and bad things in life, and risks that come with this are some of the bad things. But on the other side, these guys might be really healthy donors and say, hey, my genetics are really good, so most of the recipients, most of the children are going to be happy. And that's how it also turned out in Jonathan Mayer's case. You might know Jonathan Mayer from The Man with 1,000 Kids. He reportedly doesn't have 1,000 donor-conceived children. He doesn't have any kids of his own, so it's not really like he has any kids at all, but he does have donor-conceived children, so there's a line to be drawn. He says he doesn't have 1,000. He says somewhere between 500 and 600, which is hard to know if you go with the sperm bank, because many sperm banks do not release any records, so it could be 1,000 from what I know. And again, these guys are not transparent. These guys lie to the sperm banks, and they're usually free as well. This is what a Numbersmaxxing plus donor can achieve. I think that many sperm banks are trying to find ways to weed them out. I know sperm banks that communicate with each other to make sure that one donor does not go to multiple banks of, you know, different branches or different competitors. So it's harder and harder to get to these numbers. But again, this is not something you should try and do. I want to talk about what a responsible, high-quality donor would do. He would not do any Numbersmaxxing of some sort. He would do quality maxing. Quality maxing is a super healthy donor. Let's depict the super healthy donor with some nice biceps here. Super healthy donor. He has a big, big smile, you know, really big smile. Big eyes, smiley eyes. That looks like a bit sad, but he has a big smile. He has lots of hair because he's super healthy guy. And the quality maxing donor, he gets a lot of demand too. He gets more demand than the Numbersmaxxing guys. He gets a lot of messages every day, all the time. Now, because he's focused on a high quality network of half-siblings, and because he does not want to run into the same issues the Numbersmaxxers get with their recipients, because a lot of these recipients turn really hostile, they turn upset, he is 100% transparent. So a few recipients will say, no, never mind, I do not want to work with the high quality donor, I'll just rather work with a donor who is lying to me about his numbers. And then later they have to find out that, oh, if you are working with someone with great genetics as a donor, then chances are high he will have a high number of recipients, which is also great for a network. But more so, the quality maxer, he takes out all the recipients who are financially unstable, unhealthy, or have mental health issues. So he takes out a whole bunch, which leaves him with maybe 5 to 10 high quality recipients a month. So if he did it for 20 years, he would be somewhere between 100 to 200 families that he has helped. Now, Quality Maxer usually does not have a focus on children as much as on families. Why? Because if you limit the families, then people will want to have full siblings, and you cannot take away that choice from someone. That would be pretty irresponsible and unethical, which is why I'm talking about families here. Usually, a quality donor is not free, because this is his full-time purpose. He does it with all of his heart, and he does it as good as he can, and he tries to filter and screen his recipients. I know some quality maxers who are free, but then usually they can only, find between 1 and 2 high-quality recipients a year, which some recipients, it gives them more peace of mind, but I have to remind you that if you have 100 to 200 families with the same donor, he's a high-quality donor, and the other recipients are high-quality recipients that had to pay a fee, then you're working and you're going to have your child grow up an incredibly strong extended network of half-siblings that you cannot find with a numbers maxer or someone who's not as good in maxing out his quality and capabilities as a donor. So this is really kind of how far you can go, where you can get. Now, the smallest percentage of all donors that I know get there. A lot of donors get tired or upset, or things happen with their first recipients that they don't like. A lot of donors, they just want to have a few offspring so they can have peace of mind and they know, okay, my bloodline is going to survive. I'm not going to go extinct. So they don't try to push any numbers. This video was more about how much you can expect depending on what type of donor you're going to work with. And if we're still living in a time where people can go over 1,000 biological offspring, and I would say yes, 100%, this can still happen, which is why it's so important to do your research and to learn a lot about your donor before you move forward with this incredibly important choice of yours. I hope this video did not scare you. I hope this video helped you in making a great choice, finding a great donor. I hope this video helps donors understand the possibilities and opportunities, but I want to remind you that this is not what I'm trying to convince you of doing, right? I'm just saying this is possible. This is something donors do. This is something that takes full-time donors, living on no income. Some of them are homeless. Some of them live with their parents still because they are really addicted to maximizing the numbers, which in the long run, if you really talk to them, you realize doesn't make sense, because if you donate to a lot of low quality families, those families will have a low TFR, which means there won't be a lot of grandchildren, and eventually the number will shrink. So your offspring will basically collapse if that's your goal as a donor. So I always recommend working as a quality maxing donor to try and be your best self, to try and be the healthiest donor you can be, the best future role model for the children, the best person to support families in sustainable family growth and peace of mind, so that they will eventually have more children than they were originally planning, which I think is a wonderful thing, and I see it happen to my recipients all the time. They start with 1 or 2 kids, but then they realize, wow, this is amazing, this is actually fulfilling and the true purpose of myself as a woman. So they go ahead and they choose to have more children, which can then also result in a lot of grandchildren. And I tell my recipients, my goal of working with you as someone who's trying to maximize the quality of what I do is to help you have children who will be healthy enough to then have grandchildren and not traumatized or scared or with low quality genetics. So I hope this video helps. Again, if you have any questions, you want to join the Open Donor Association, the link should be somewhere below. If you want to work with me as a donor, or you're looking for a donor, or if you want to become a donor yourself, feel free to try and connect. I put out so many different ways to connect to us. And if you have any more questions, always leave a comment, leave a like. It really supports my work. I try to help people grow healthy families. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, weekend, evening, wherever you are right now. And I hope that you do not forget to grow your family.